Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
And good old Jared Brandon as Jared Brandon.
He's back, everybody. I'm back, too. Hey, everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. I don't know why I'm fumbling over my words so soon. Please bear with me as I work out the kinks.
Hopefully not a harbinger of things to come.
Yeah, well, I hope
It
not.
shows that you're human.
Yeah, thanks, Jared.
like
Speaking of human, we got another human sitting with us right now, across from us.
John Esterly with Rare Buzz Effects.
Perfect. And gentlemen, why are we here today, aside from having an awesome podcast? Who do we have somebody on the line that I think we're going to interview. I'm going to answer that for you. Who are you, person?
Scott Monk from Montreal Assembly Pedals.
Holy macaroni. Montreal Assembly Pedals.
Montreal.
A famed and curious name in the pedal world, and I'm really thrilled that we have him on. We'll get into this a little bit. He was one of the earliest people that we reached out to. I'm glad that we're doing it now, as I told him a little bit earlier, instead of way back then, because we were still cutting our teeth on everything. So I think your experience hopefully is better now than it would have been back then. But thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, no problem.
I will say that if somebody's saying what is Montreal Assembly, we're going to get into your full interview, but you are known, or I think you made your mark on the guitar world in a big way with the Count to 5 pedal, which has been featured many times on our 4 on the Floor segment. So that's why one of the reasons we think this is really exciting. Yeah. So anyways, we're going to have a great time tonight. We're going to talk about guitar stuff and pedal stuff and probably have a few laughs on the way, hopefully. Tony's shaking his head vehemently. No, that's
laughing.
Not going to have happened.
No laughing.
Okay, well, then we'll have to let Jared do all that for us.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's handle a few announcements real quick, and then we'll get into some awesome content. What kind of bird was that?
I like it.
That's like a bird from like George of the Jungle or something.
It might have been.
Or Super Chicken.
It might have been. That was your new announcement. That was your new announcement.
Yeah, thanks. John, you have an announcement or something?
No, I was gesturing to you
thank you.
Present the announcements.
Yes, we need to thank... Okay, Rode mics. Thank you, Tony. The super delay is working on you. I think he might actually be hooked up to a Count to 5. So we want to thank Rode Mics for handing us some pretty fine audio equipment.
Love it.
To record all this nonsense with.
Rodecaster Pro.
Yep, and the Procaster mics doing the job.
Articulating arms.
Yep. We just hit over 270 episodes, and on the last one, 272 now.
Wow.
On the last one, we calculated... and if you haven't heard this, please listen to the end of number 272, because we talk about all the various ways that you can listen should you be traveling to the moon to New York via Tokyo.
That's right.
Anyways, yeah.
You got to listen to the first episode, by the way. It's the best one.
Yeah. I don't know if that's true or not. We also, I wanted to mention to all of the builders that we've interviewed. Hopefully, you're still listening, and even if you haven't been on, or maybe just want to share it with the rest of our audience, I would love to get your brand, your swaggy bits, in front of our audience. Our patrons that sign up, we send them reward packages, which include all kinds of stickers and pics and whatever. And I'd love to put your brand in their hands. So DM me or send me an email, Todd at the Guitar Knobs podcast. At theguitarknobs.com. And we will we'll sort something out. You can send me some stickers and pics and stuff, and make some get people that are interested in your brand very happy.
Yes.
All right. Let's find out what's going on in our music world this week. We're going to talk to Tanya Belansky over here, and then we're going to check in with Mr. Scott Monk of Montreal Assembly.
Well, Todd, this week, lots of things were happening. But most importantly, I worked a deal with a buddy. He wanted to buy my, and Jared, you'll know what this one is. It's a 1991 Gibson Firebird 1. It's a 63 reissue.
Yeah.
So it's a single pickup. This one was
What
unusual.
color was it?
Sunburst. It's typical. And what made this one really different this was in 1991-92. Excuse me. Gibson Custom Shop did limited runs of certain models for the factory for Gibson USA. This one was a special order in that it had a wraparound bridge tailpiece instead of the two-part tunematic with a tailpiece. So it was a very cool guitar. I really wasn't using it. Jeff really wanted it. So we worked out a pretty good deal, and then he sent me a picture of a guitar that he was trying to sell and asked if I might have some interest. So we, sweetened the deal a little bit, and I got the guitar and a little bit of cash, and he got the Firebird. But what's cool about this is I believe based on that headstock badge, it's a 1965 K, K-A-Y, letter K 300. And the K only made this particular model for 4 years, 62 to 66. And it was one of their early forays into what they called a solid body guitar, even though this is not a solid body guitar. It's hollow on the inside. And it's a big body. I mean, it's a pretty huge guitar, but it's a solid body, no F-holes or anything. But what makes it really cool is it's got 2 speed bump pickups, and the speed bumps were made by Gibson. And a lot of Ks have them, some Harmonies have them, and they're called a speed bump because there's like a bump in the middle instead of pole pieces sticking through.
Okay. Yeah, and let me interject. My boss he's kind of the curator of the vault where we keep a lot of information, and he was at Custom looking through a lot of things, and he found a notebook for a winder that a winder had just wrote all these notes, and there's bobbin types and windings, and this is from the 50s. And cool. K's are mentioned in this notebook. Like the amount of winds for this kind of bobbin also go to K, and I think Harmony maybe, but I don't remember.
Yeah, well, that would make sense because those were the speed bump pickups and they're actually decent. They basically sound like a P90.
They got old magnets in them.
Yeah.
So people pay big just for those magnets. Yeah.
Now, what's even cooler about this particular guitar is Jeff had sent this up to Dan Johnson up in Akron at the time. Now, for those who don't know, Dan Johnson was a repair guy in the Akron area who...
Wasn't Dan? Oh.
Yes. And no, different Dan. Not Dan Shin, but Dan Johnson.
I didn't know there was anybody else in Akron.
Yeah, well, Dan Johnson did a lot of work for Dan Auerbach from Black Keys and a couple of other bands. And now Dan Johnson is in your neck of the woods, Jared. I think he's down in Franklin.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, so he's kind of based out of Nashville these days. But according to Jeff, and based on what I see on this, I think Dan took on a kind of a labor of love for this guitar because he literally, someone had thinned the neck at some time. So Dan removed the fingerboard, put a piece of wood underneath the old fingerboard, leveled the fingerboard, and refretted the thing.
Wow.
And this is for a guitar that's really not worth that level of work.
Wow. It's such a great guitar though now.
But it's 100% better than what it was, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And so he had a lot more work in it than he probably should have for a guitar of that caliber. But,
it's beautiful too.
Yeah.
I mean, it has aged really well. That is
Yes.
a really great guitar, I think.
Yeah. So I think I'm very happy with the deal that was struck, and Jeff is happy with the Firebird, and as long as everybody's happy, that's all that matters.
Good.
Yeah, you called me about that Firebird, and you asked me, to look up the serial number. I called my boss, and he was like, "Oh yeah, give me a couple minutes." And he just, "Let me look this up." And a few taps, and he goes, "Oh yeah, all I got here is that it was a made special in custom shop. Nothing else follows.
Yeah.
And
well,
went to somewhere
unfortunately,
in
a lot of
Connecticut.
unfortunately, a lot of those records are just like that. They just wrote down what they felt was necessary, I guess.
Yeah, and if it was something big, it would have a lot more info on it.
Yeah.
Like sent to Jimmy Page, sent to Jared Brandon, stuff like that.
One of those two, yeah. Let's see, Scott, what's going on with you in your music world?
Recently, I guess the biggest thing, I think in May I did kind of like a workshop run by this local guy, which was about... the title of the workshop was something about like something about incorporating machine learning into like artistic practice, something like this. And but it was really specifically about sound, like incorporating it for sound. And so it was kind of like 3 days, like 3 Saturdays. And I don't know, it's something I was interested in a lot, I think, because at some point someone, I don't know, sent me an artist on Bandcamp that is called Yona, like Yona. And it's pretty interesting music. I looked into it a bit more, and it's a guy or a person in the UK that I think is just curating like the output of some sort of, AI generating melodies based on, I don't know, whatever data he's feeding it. And then I never really had time to look into this. And then this guy was offering this workshop locally, this guy, Gabriel, who has studied this quite a bit. And so I did that. It was pretty surface level, but it was nice just to kind of, become aware of like what tools are available to do that, and just have someone who like already knows all the answers tell you, right? Instead of like spending your whole weekend like looking around on the internet being like, I guess this could work, I don't know. Just having someone that's like, no, look, plug this in and then do it, and then it does it, and you're like, oh wow, cool. So I think that's probably like the biggest thing that's happened recently. And then I've been trying to meet with not necessarily with people that I met at the workshop, but there's another guy I know locally who's really into like Max MSP, and a lot of the tools that seem to be developed like freely and stuff. People provide you with some Max MSP patch to interface with their machine learning models. So he knows a lot about this. So I've been trying to, I don't know, just meet with him and just have some fun, really. I don't know what the end goal of it is. I'm not necessarily even trying to get a computer to write me music. I just find it kind of interesting as a concept. And
Scott, what exactly, for those who don't know, what is Maxim SP?
Yeah, it's just like a graphical programming language, I guess. You get a bunch of boxes that have inputs and outputs, and you can just, by clicking a mouse, just connect them to each other, and they have some functionality. And it's all mostly related to sound. I think some of it is video. I think even Ableton Live has like some Max MSP integration now. I'm not sure because I'm not an expert on Ableton, but I think it's quite popular. There's a free version of it called Pure Data, which is actually written by the same guy, but it's a bit rougher, let's say. Then Max, I think maybe it's free for students or something, but I think it's like $400 or $500 to buy the full thing.
So is it for creating music, or is it for developing tools to create music?
I guess more the latter. Yeah. It's like, I don't know. It's like if you design a synthesizer, are you creating music? I mean, if you play it, you are, I guess. So
right.
Yeah, I would say it's more like it's like personally, I think of it more as programming, but
gotcha.
I mean, you could open up someone else's patch and then just play it I guess, and then that would be just playing. But
Right. So it's for creating new patches or plugins for.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. It's like a sandbox.
Okay.
I mean, I could be butchering it. Maybe there's some Max MSP purists who will think this is a terrible explanation, but this is my how I look at it. I guess. So.
I gotcha. Cool. Well, that sounds fun. John, how about yourself?
Well, I'm going to piggyback on last time's What Am I Doing in My Music Week? Because we talked, Tony and I, about various Vox amplifiers, and he shamed me into staying away from the printed circuit board versions of the AC-15. Well, today our friend Rob Chaffee at Mad Cow posted what we think is his personal Dr. Z Maz 18 Jr. for sale, and he and I were able to strike a homey deal on it, so I'll be picking it up tomorrow.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so I'm very excited.
He got that one actually from Jared's boss in Nashville.
Oh, wonderful. So, full circle.
Yeah, kind of. Half circle.
Well,
They both asked me. Yeah, so Rob, I asked my boss, hey, are you selling your amp to somebody in Columbus? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, I know the guy, and it was crazy. The end.
Yes. Did they know Kevin Bacon?
Possibly.
Yeah. Let's see here. Jared, about yourself.
Yeah. So it's been really crazy the last 2 to 3 weeks. I went home and spent a week at home digging out 15 years of packing crap at my house, and it filled up a 40-yard dumpster.
Jeez.
Full of stuff. And then another 20 yards after that. So
60 yards.
60 yards of just collecting stuff and stuff I've had for 40 years as a child growing up. And it was time to say bye-bye to everything.
Wow.
Even some music equipment, not a lot, but just some old stuff that I never use. That wasn't even worth putting on Craigslist or anything like that.
Yeah.
So we got all the stuff moved down here from the movers, and they were Russian, but they were nice. Why did I mention that?
Were they Russian as in the country, or rushing?
They were only Russian.
Okay.
Not rushing.
Okay.
And nice fellas, though. I got my Mutron down here and the biphase, and I'm like, oh, man, this don't work. So I messed with it for a while, and I just couldn't get it to work right. In fact, I probably made it worse. And the first person I looked up on the internet, which I don't remember who it was, I emailed and told him I was sending my biphase. I sent it, and a week later, a nice gal emails me, and she's like, yeah, it's going to be $340 to fix.
Jeez.
And I'm like, do it. I mean, it's what do those go for that are in okay condition?
About
like
$340.
That's funny because it's not true, and that's why it's funny.
$339, I think.
Yeah.
Most.
We're talking anywhere from 15 to $2,500 for those.
That's the big one on the stand, right?
Yeah, the giant one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
Scott, have you
So
messed around with any of that
course.
old Mutron stuff?
No, I've never had I've never encountered one. I've never encountered one in the wild.
Yeah.
So what I figured out is I didn't really like using the old Mutron stuff. I liked having it because it was collectible and cool, but the pedal that I couldn't think of the last podcast I was on is the unipedal, and the unipedal just takes that wool blanket of sound off of everything. So I'm actually satisfied with the way these vintage Mutron sound with this unipedal.
Yeah, that's the 23.
Yes, I got
Or the 26. 26.
29.
29.
29
Do
pedals.
I hear 32?
29 pedals.
Yeah, that's right.
Fantastic pedal. So thanks again for making that pedal 29 pedals.
Yeah, they've been on the show.
Great. Yeah, so I can't wait to get the pedal back. They said, I don't know, like 3 to 4 to 5 weeks or something. I didn't really care. It's just get it back to me when you're done. So, and and this month was my 1 year anniversary with Gibson, and it's great because when I first got there, it's like everything was just so fast, and I couldn't figure, it was hard to adjust, and now I look around and everything's slowing down for me. So
feels like home.
Yeah.
That's
so
good.
it was a good decision. I knew it would take me a year to figure it out, but if it was a good decision, but yeah,
Right.
Sitting pretty here in Nashville. I like it.
That's good, man. That's good.
And were you already living in Nashville?
No.
No. Okay.
No, I owned a home in Ohio and bought a house down here in the market that it is. So, but
nice.
The good thing is, I've had my home in Ohio for a long time, so because of the market, it's, we're going to be okay financially. So it's all good.
Good.
Yeah.
How about you, Todd?
Well, I did a semi-impulse purchase, but I was really happy about it because, honestly, as soon as I got it, I just kept seeing them go up in price. I think partially due to a few videos that have come out recently, and there have been other ones in the past. I'm getting there. John's going like, what is it? I got the Seriatone, however you want to say it, the clone, the Centaur clone, in proper enclosure in the whole 9 yards. I mean, it's like close to as one-to-one comparison that you can get. And I was going to get a brand new one from them, and I decided I picked up a used one from a feller in very close to where I grew up in Seal Beach, California. And yeah, so instead of waiting for, however many weeks / months, I got it in a couple days.
Nice.
And played it out at a gig, and it sounded great, and I was super happy. It was awesome.
Cool.
Hey, Jared, why don't you bring your actual clone and compare to mine?
I think we should. That would be fun
I'll
to
be
do.
up next weekend. Not this, but next. We'll
Okay.
do it.
You're going to miss Red, White, and Boom.
Yeah. Well, so anyways, back to my thing, Tony.
Yes.
I didn't get the horsey. I got just a straight gold.
What's the difference? Because there is no difference in the original.
I was going to ask what the difference is.
Aesthetics.
Todd, what would the difference be?
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not a clone
Clown?
professional.
But you think there's a difference though, so it's like, what's the difference to you? That's what we want to know. Like, what's
the
your
difference to me is
Yeah.
one's got a silly graphic on the front and one doesn't.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
literally the difference
Yeah.
with the originals too.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's no sound.
Wow.
It's just aesthetics.
I just like the big gold. It's awesome. I get it. I didn't really get it before, and I'm not saying, I get the amazing transparent sound. It's like, I'm not saying that at all, because I run it right into my small sound, big sound Levi 11 pedal, which,
And that's fine.
kills whatever transparency there is.
No, I mean,
but it sounds
does
great
what it's
because
supposed
it
to
gives
do,
it
yeah.
this fantastic mid, like just it not over. I don't want to say it's a mid boost, but it adds a mid tone that I was hoping to get, and
A certain je ne sais quoi.
yeah, and it's just the drive on it is a little more. I don't know. It's just got a little something extra that it puts into the sound. And I really like it, but maybe more so. I get the enclosure. I get the thing. There's something just about it. It's like this is substantial.
Even if it doesn't work, it makes a great paperweight.
Right?
It will. Yeah. So.
Do you use it always on, or is it something you're using as
originally I was going to punch in, but I actually like it always on running into. I'm using it as a stacked.
Okay.
Because I've got a overdriven sound. I wouldn't say full blown distortion. I have as pushed overdrive as you can without it just being, gain full up on a Marshall kind of thing.
Right. Right.
Because I do still need a very articulated like punch and cut if I without it just kind of just going on. So that's the best I can describe it. I need it to be a brass knuckles and a stiletto at the same time. Anyways, so it was pretty fun. And relatively affordable. I allowed myself to get something a little bit nice. So that was super fun. Anyways, we are going to move on to one of the most favorite, beloved even, segments of our show, many years running. But first, we need to check in from our other friends, Scott, up north.
Hey, Todd.
Yes, Tony.
Speaking of the Seriatone clone, that's a tough one to say.
It is.
It drives it makes your head go twisty, left and right hemispheres. How did you hook those doggone pedals together?
Well, it's funny you ask because I actually needed to get a size up because it's a wide pedal.
Yeah.
And I had to do a wraparound, so I needed a longer S-shaped pedal, which fortunately Tour Gear Designs provides.
Tour Gear Designs is the trick.
That is the trick.
I've heard that name somewhere.
Yes, we have referenced it quite a few times, and for good reason, because I was able to get them really fast, and I got the sizes that I needed.
And they're flat.
They are flat, incredibly low profile, because I downsized to a pedal train Metro size for my board, and so I need the room. Yeah. It's anyways, it's not the nano itty bitty thing, but it's
still,
yeah, you know,
that's a downsize from where you were.
It is, because the other one was rather large. Anyways, so Tour Gear helped me out in that manner, and I absolutely love those things. Super low profile and very small actual jack ends, so they're not cramming in and bumping into the power supply, which is usually located in the middle of the pedal.
Let me ask you this, Todd. Did you pay full price?
I was gonna, but then I remembered, wait, the guitar knobs actually have a coupon code. So if you go to tourgeardesigns.com and load up your cart,
load it up
in the coupon code area. If you put the guitar knobs, all one word, you're gonna save 10% on your entire order.
10%.
That's correct.
Holy moly.
So thank you so much to Tour Gear Designs for sponsoring our 4 on the floor. Jared?
Let me get a little bit of this.
1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor. All right, Scott Monk from Montreal Assembly. I really love saying that because we finally got you on. What is your 4 on the floor?
The first pedal is probably the Digitech Whammy 5.
Ooh.
Specifically the 5, though. The 4 is good, but the 5 is really, I don't know. They really figured it out, I think.
It's one better.
It's one better, and I think there's also a switch to make it not one better, which is a pretty baller move, I think.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's one of its features. It can actually just be the 4. Only, I think mechanically the 5 is also a lot nicer. Like when you look at it, if you look at the 4, you're like, I don't know if I want to step on this. Even though it's made out of metal, it kind of looks cheap, I would say.
Yeah.
Like really thin metal folded. I don't know. And it's glossy. I think the 5 has a bit of a matte finish, which is kind of nicer. I don't know. The design on the treadle is nicer. It doesn't use a Bizarro 9-volt AC power supply. It uses a normal. Yeah, they really figured out what people actually wanted in the Whammy. Because I think I already had 2 Whammy 4s, so I mean, why would you buy a third one? And the 5 was like, that's why you buy a third one. And I think I actually now have 2 5s and only 1 4. So,
wow.
And yeah, it might be my favorite pedal of all time for different reasons. Yeah, maybe not even necessarily because of the sound. I just think it's hilarious in concept. Like, I don't know, when I was a kid and like the, Whammy 2 or whatever was out, it's like, a pedal that just changes the pitch. That's it. You're like, wow, that's amazing. And it still kind of is in my head, even though I think like a million pedals probably change the pitch of your guitar at this point. But, and what else is cool about it? Yeah, so I thought a lot about the 5 being amazing. And then much later in life when I was graced with the ability to go to NAMM, and I actually met Tom Cram there. Well, I met Tom Cram many times, actually. We used to work at Digitech, and we were just talking randomly at NAMM about whatever one day, and I just mentioned, oh yeah, the Whammy 5. Basically, I just said what I just said now, and then he was like, I don't remember exactly what he said, but basically he was like, oh yeah, that was like one of my projects at Harman, was to like find out why the Whammy 4 didn't sell that much, or something like that, or something about like, what do people want fixed on the Whammy pedal? And then so all these little things like the power supply not being stupid, and I don't know, better construction and whatever. It actually is. I don't know if this is paraphrased, but it seems like it's actually maybe even because of Tom Cram, which I thought was cool. I thought that was cool meeting him and like actually being like, oh wow, this is the guy that made you buy another one. I was like, oh, cheers, man. So yeah, I think especially now after those experiences, it's even more solidified. Almost like it's not even a meme anymore. It's like, no, it really is the best one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to get into the Whammy pedal?
What inspired me? Oh, I guess because I don't know. I had like really no pedals when I was little. I don't know. I had like some Todd chorus pedal, and I don't know. I think my dad had like a DD3 or something, and then like the DD3 has like, you know, it has a long enough delay that you can imagine changing the pitch of the sound, and then just like, you know, trying to find stuff that actually does that eventually leads you to the Whammy, which is really just about that, right? I mean, I knew nothing about effects when I was during this time, and then I guess the Whammy pedal was always like, oh, the known solution, but I didn't really have any money. And then I think when the Whammy 4 came out, I was actually working for Panasonic doing like laptop repair or something. So I actually had a job and I could afford buying it. And so I did. And it was like this big deal in my head to like finally get it. And yeah, I don't know. That's what drew me to it, I guess. I don't know.
Gotcha. How about number 2?
Number 2, I don't know. It's a toss-up. Okay, number two. Number 2, I would say is, probably the Boss Metal Zone at this point. I don't know.
Nice.
The Boss Metal Zone, yeah, I don't know. It's very, it's the Boss Metal Zone or the Digitech Metal Master I used to also be super into, which is like a digital metal distortion. And I don't know, just both of them are so scooped that it's, I don't know. Like I used to stack multiple distortions and then put them into a graphic equalizer and then scoop them. But with those pedals, I mean, you can still do that, but you don't really need to.
Yeah, they're already there.
Yeah, I mean, the Metal Master doesn't even have a gain knob. Like, you have to respect that. It's just on like max. And yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm actually counting 2 here. I guess I'll give these will count as 2, I guess, but I would only use one at a time, I guess I'll say.
Gotcha.
Like, they sound different, but they both kind of
achieve the same goal.
Achieve the same, like on paper, like if you wrote down what you wanted and then someone went into the back room to get something for you, like they could bring back either of those and you would have been satisfied, I think.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I guess the Metal Zone has more.
We'll stick with the Metal Zone.
Yeah, it has more parameters, I guess you could say. It has more knobs.
Gotcha.
Like 6, I guess, instead of 4. But
how about number 3?
Number 3, yeah, I always like to have just like a graphic EQ. So like, I don't know, I have a G10. It's not, I don't know, it doesn't have a switch on it. It's a really old Boss unit.
Sure.
It's the same as, I guess, the G7, which I guess they made into a pedal, but it has more bands on it. So it's one of the first things I ever bought, I think. And yeah, it's really hard to not have an EQ on a board for me because you can just push things really far. Like most pedals have pretty primitive EQs, I would say. And so once you have, which is totally fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But Most of the amps I had, I guess, also didn't have great EQs. Like, I don't know, JCM 800. Like, I think you could turn the knobs wherever you want. It always kind of sounds the same, even though it sounds amazing. Like, it's one of my favorite amps, but it's like, oh man, like if I left the room and someone played with the dials, I wouldn't know. And also, and then the other amp I had was a YBA1, which is like a clone of the JCM 800, basically. So
Trainer, right?
Trainer.
Yeah, Trainer. Yeah, Canadian. You know, you got to represent.
Sure. That's right.
So,
Those are great amps.
How about number 4?
Yeah, number 4. I really got to think now about this. A must-have. Yeah. I don't know if I have a 4th must-have. I don't like.
It can. It doesn't have to be one that you actually own either.
The other, I mean, the pedal I probably also use the most is another Digitech, just the Digidelay from this X series. I don't know, the Digitech X series really left a mark on me, I think, because I was able to obtain most of them, and I thought they were really good. So there's a Digidelay, which I think it's actually like lower fi sounding than kind of the Boss ones that were at the time, like the DD3 and the DD5, but it has like this really primitive 4-second looper you can use on it, and the normal delay modes sound really good, and they just worked really well. I don't know.
Cool. This is fascinating because I didn't expect any of that, I gotta say, based on the kind of pedals you make. And the sound devices you make, which we're just about to, we're going to dive right into that right now. I think maybe we'll start with the sort of extreme paradox of what you just talked about versus the type of pedals that you're making. Which where can people go find or see what you're making? By the way, right now.
You can check 2 places, I guess, online. One is our website, which is mtl.asm.com. And we also have an Instagram, which is at mtl.asm.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
Those are probably the 2 best places to.
Right. Now, when you go there, you're going to find nothing remotely like Scott just described. That almost sounds like a rig that... what's the guy's name? I just forget. Static.
Wayne Static?
Yeah.
Static,
yeah. It's like Wayne Static's
Just
rig.
like that.
Right? From Static X.
I didn't think of that, but yeah, I mean, I owned their CD, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe that's the influence. I don't know.
So when you go to Montreal Assembly's website, and Scott, you're actually in Montreal, Canada, for we didn't mention that.
Yeah, that's where I live now. Yeah.
So I'll have to when we're off air, I'll have to ask you about a particular restaurant there. To see if it's still there. So what can if you were to describe, if you're riding in an elevator and someone said, "Oh wow, that's really cool. You make pedals." What kind of pedals do you make? What is your 2-floor pitch?
Yeah, I guess we make like our most famous pedals, I guess, would be like micro loopers. Maybe you would call them that. Like micro loopers are, I don't know if I would call them granular effects, but I think people would know what type of thing you're talking about. Maybe if you use those terms. Yeah.
Okay.
Delays, loopers, but like, more like you could
really
say they're
manipulating time more.
Manipulating time.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You can use that on your bio if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, that's a good way to.
I'm a time manipulator.
He's a time lord.
Yes.
We have some pedals that don't also, but yeah,
yes.
I mean, I think the stuff that was most popular is for sure.
Yeah. What you've made, what put Montreal Assembly on the map. Speaking of that, I think, as I mentioned before, the count to 5 pedal, which is it's odd. I remember when we started asking everybody when we came up with the 4 on the floor many years ago. I was surprised at how many people kept referencing this pedal. And granted, I had seen a few, I'd seen videos of it and stuff. Instagram at the time, the guitar community was really just starting to emerge and find a real force in that, but it hadn't gone to its full potential where we are obviously right now. And I'd heard of it, I'd seen it but I was surprised at how many people were referencing it. Not because I didn't think it was a good pedal. It was just, I was like, wow, a lot of people are calling this pedal out, which is why, I said, let's get them on the show. It is a rather unassuming looking pedal. It's just flat blue with some white knobs and some stamped black letters. But this absolutely, man, you really did something that caught people's attention and made them say, wow, there's nothing else like this. Where did you get the genesis for this particular pedal? And also, can you describe loosely what that does, what the pedal does?
Yeah, sure. I don't know in what order. I guess the pedal, the idea is just from, I guess, I don't know what to say. The pedal, the idea mostly came from the fact that all of a sudden, I'll put all of a sudden in quotes, I guess, all of a sudden there was a lot better kind of embedded technology available to like hobbyists, or like you didn't have to be, I mean, I do have an engineering degree, but you didn't have to be like super specialized to find the resources and stuff to start developing with, certain brands of microchips, and the capabilities of them were really getting to the point where, for quite a reasonably low cost, you can have chips that they manipulate sound without much effort. And at the same time, I think previously I had another, really cheapy pedal called the Goodbye 24, which was also previously built on an extremely cheap microcontroller, but like really, really cheap. Like the sound quality was terrible, and it just ran an algorithm that was really similar to like what Mode 1 is on the Count to 5 now, but it was like, I don't know, like 7 or 8-bit audio and just sounded totally bit crushed and crappy. But despite the terrible sound quality, a lot of people liked the effect. So once there was, I don't know, something within my reach to make it kind of a bit more hi-fi sounding, then I just developed it on that. And then I tried to add some other modes that also play with time. And I don't know, I think you see with like micro loopers, especially with modular stuff, like there's a lot of variations on these ideas of just sampling and then rearranging the samples or playing them backwards or whatever. I just think at the time in guitar pedals, there was a few stuff, like I think Hexy Revolver was already out, which is a pretty interesting pedal. There was some stuff. There was another guy from Montreal, Sonic Crown, who is kind of like super niche. If you know about this guy, I think he made only a handful of pedals, but people were extremely excited by his stuff. So I think my motivation, or that where the ideas came from, were kind of seeing that this, not necessarily to like use the, not to make the Hexy Revolver, but to kind of have a spin on this idea of playing with time and then using the technology that's available to make something that's maybe a little more affordable or a little more like mass producible than what other, I mean, I'm talking about mass production, but I really mean like more than 10, like others, what some of the other boutique people were doing. So,
well, it seems as though, I think one of the things that this offers, as opposed to some other pedals that basically say, select this mode and all of the things are already figured out for you. This is very much a highly controllable, it's like a manual control pedal instead of just going, this particular setting is called wind sweep, and it just does a thing and you can't control. But there's a really engineering kind of rough manual nature to this pedal, which I think really probably struck a chord with people, because at the time things seemed to be more about like make it flashy looking or make it do a million things. And this pedal, you've got 3 toggles, 2 foot switches, and 4 knobs, but you can do an awful lot of that, an awful lot with those things. And I, at least from my perspective, that's what caught my attention, and I seem to gather that from other people. Is that similar feedback that you've had?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, definitely when designing it, like, because like what it does isn't like obvious, right? I guess like it's not like you can just tell someone exactly in 2 sentences what's going to happen. So you have to make it so that each, like you said, there's only 3 knobs. Well, like one of them is mix always. So you have to make it so that when someone turns the knob, they get like acoustic feedback and can, even if they couldn't say what the knob does, there's some sort of like learning.
Yeah. When
they're like, oh, I turned this and it did this, and then I want that to happen, so I'm going to do that again. And like, I don't know how you label a knob like that. Like we just came up with 3-letter acronyms that loosely refer to some word that might describe what it's doing. But it's like, yeah, that was definitely very consciously thought of in like what do you even parameterize in the algorithm. And then so I think like that design criteria was really successful, I would say.
I'd agree.
Because that is a lot of the early feedback we got, at least, was a lot like that. Like people, they just have fun with it, which to me is really the point. Because I think like, I don't think this analogy was around when we launched it, but it's like you could think of making effects that are just kind of like Snapchat filters for sound. Like they're just fun. Like you should just have fun. Like,
I have an analogy.
Yeah. Okay.
This is more like getting a Ziploc bag full of random Legos versus getting the box that builds the X-Wing fighter from Star Wars.
Yeah, sure.
Just in the sense that you can rearrange, you can make it whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's still going to build something.
Yeah.
You're not limited, or not only limited to the design, but limited what you think that design should be.
Yeah. And I mean, it is still, I think once you really understand what the algorithm's doing, it is very, like, I think a lot of people actually get it completely, and like now it's a thing. But yeah, to launch it originally, it's definitely a lot easier when people can just do something and feel like they did something that is doing what they want. That's like, user experience, just having a good experience with something.
So with this one, you were able to manipulate pitch delay.
Yeah, basically it's a pitch delay. The first mode, it's right. I forget what they called it. Way later, I found like a university website on sound research, and they actually had implemented in Java actually a similar effect to what is mode 1, and I forget. I wish I could remember what they called it. They had a name for it, a certain type of delay, and it's like, it's just that. I don't know. It's like a read head and a write head moving around a tape, but they're not. Like if you had an actual tape delay, the distance between the tape head, the read head, and the write head never moves because they're like screwed into the unit, right? Mm-hmm. So you can change the speed of the tape, but the distance between the read and the write head can't move, right? But digitally, you can make that happen, right? So you just have. Now it's easier to imagine just that the tape itself doesn't move anymore. Like the tape is fixed, and the length of the tape is fixed, and then the heads can move in whatever direction at whatever speed, and it doesn't matter if they're running into each other or not. There's some sort of negotiation to like not get artifacts in the sound from something like that. Yeah, that's.
You've mentioned the term micro looper a few times. Can you explain that for those of us that might not be as familiar with that term?
Yeah, here's because I didn't invent the term, I just read it. So this is my understanding of how people are using micro loopers is like if someone said, hey, I got a great new looper, you probably expect something that like can record like, I don't know, 20 seconds or like a whole phrase. Like, you know, you play a riff and then you loop the riff and then maybe you record some drums over it.
You're going to go busking.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, if someone says looper, that's at least in my head what I imagine.
Yeah, like the ditto.
And exactly, the ditto. That's a perfect example. Whereas if someone says micro looper, what I imagine is something that doesn't necessarily facilitate really long phrases repeated, that more just maybe takes a sample that maybe is very long, but then only plays portions of it at a time and plays the portions back at different arrangements. Like I think you could say like the new Chase Bliss Habit, I would call it a micro looper, even though I guess it can record 3 minutes. I would still say it's a micro looper. That's like just to give an example of a pedal a current pedal that I would put in that. Like some of the Red Panda stuff I would put in there.
The Red Panda tensor is I think loosely you guys tend to share the same talking space whenever people are talking about one or the other. Not that they're the same pedal, but it just
for sure. You know. Yeah, for sure. No, I get it. Yeah.
So this goes back to, okay, you just talked about some hardcore, like super scooped metal stuff. And then there's this, which is typically not found in that genre. Why this?
I guess just because I'm not going to start trying to sell metal pedals because like to live off, because they exist. They're very good. Like they're so good that I bought them and I used them my whole life, you know? So it's like I don't have much idea to
the Montreal Metal Zone. Got it. Okay, gotcha.
I mean, we're definitely going to do it eventually, but like more as some sort of retrospective on life, I think, more than like, you know, I actually think that selling metal pedals is going to pay my bills. So, and I mean, yeah, like really, I guess I kind of comment on this, like I felt, I wasn't super knowledgeable about what boutique pedals existed. I used some forms, but not others. But at least on the communities I was participating in at the time, it just seemed like, you know, you see how people react to some of these pedals that are kind of available, but not really. And then you're like, well, I mean, now that we have these new tools, we could do this. And it is interesting to me. It is kind of like a newer type of pedal. I mean, I don't think I invented this genre. I think even the Teaspoon in a way, like, I don't know if you remember this pedal. This is it's a super short, like stuttering pedal that, I think it just runs off a PT 2399 or something. It's really old, but like when I was a kid, these you could online. These were even already like $300 or something.
Wow,
and
I've never heard of this pedal.
You should look up the Teaspoon. Yeah, it all it does is when you click the button, it just like latches like maybe a quarter of a second of audio and just keeps repeating it. So it'd be like ba 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 ba, and then you can, you know, adjust the delay time to speed it up or slow it down, and that's it. It's kind of like the hold on the DD3, but that's all it does. But it was like a boutique thing, and it was like super sought after in some circles, obviously. I mean, obviously.
But, it sounds like so. You mentioned you were an engineer. What I'm assuming, I'm coming to the conclusion, maybe a self-proclaimed conclusion, that this fulfilled maybe more of an engineering ability need, maybe even more than a sonic need.
I don't know. Maybe I don't interpret it the same way. Okay. I don't know. I think the reason I would say, like, I guess I perceived a demand for it. So I guess that's why I would say it actually did fill a sonic need, because it was like these kind of pedals that were kind of dancing around the edge of this were always like very popular, at least with the people I talked to. Like,
Sure.
So it was like, well, now you can do it. Like, you can just get this stuff and you can just program it and do it, and then here it is. And I don't know.
So what's your engineering background?
Yeah, I have like a master's in electrical engineering, and I studied.
You said that so casually.
Well, it's not.
Mikey.
I don't think it's that. I think anyone could get an engineering degree. Honestly, it's very like they haven't figured out like how to teach it to people. I think so. I'm not trying to like downplay engineering. I just don't think that getting an engineering degree is necessarily that complicated.
Yeah. Well, you got a master's in it. I think that's getting a master's in anything is an accomplishment. But I think for audio engineering, that's kind of the world that we're fascinated by. So I think it's pretty exceptional.
Yeah. Well, I didn't actually study audio at all in school, but I studied like signal, like I would call it like advanced signal processing. So it was more like, we did a lot of stuff with like applications in neuroscience. So like understanding fMRI data, like diagnosing disease through fMRI, like limb movement prediction through like neural signals. Like, really.
Wild.
Yeah. I was never able to get a job in this.
Stuff. Yeah.
I actually wrote a thesis on like algorithms for
Here we go.
prosthetic limb movement, but no, that's it. I mean, it wasn't that advanced.
We went from metal zone to diagnosing limb movements and prosthetics.
Yeah. A lot of this,
that's awesome. That's really impressive. I'm actually like, wow, I'm really impressed. Is that what now? Is that your, I guess, quote unquote day job, or?
No, I never worked in this field. Actually, I finished school and was not finding employment related to neuroscience or biomedical at all. So I also had some medical issues myself, and then I just got really lucky, and people started buying a blue delay pedal I made, and I never had a job after my master's. I never worked for anyone else, so it was kind of a lot of money for I don't know what, interesting memories, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. It's great for parties.
No, and I have to say, like, meeting people who studied neuroscience, I'm not trying to generalize, but like they're always so much cooler than people that just studied engineering. So the fact that I have that kind of extra part is really nice. They're a lot more, I don't know, I feel like studying life sciences, it's a lot more open-ended, whereas engineering, unless you're really on like some, especially electrical engineering, unless you're really on some edge shit, it's, sorry, I don't know if you can say that.
It's all right.
Unless you really have some French. Like,
Violation.
Some, I don't know, unless you're really doing something that's like really, really current. It's kind of like figured out and dull, and I find it interesting to learn about, but it's not that interesting to think about after a while. And whereas I found in neuroscience, there's all these things that they were like, oh, 3 years ago, the guy who won the Nobel Prize was wrong, actually. Like, it was really like, oh, wow, crazy. Like, it's actually still happening. Yeah. And so I felt, I mean, electrical engineering is also, of course, still happening, but it's like, we have 5G instead of 4G, and it's like, well, that's cool, but like, I don't watch that much YouTube anyways, So I'm like a boomer, man. Like, I'm just like, I don't care about this stuff right now. Like, it's like, good. I already have the internet in my pocket. That's already amazing to me. Like, I'm good. Yeah.
Do you think you'll ever go back to neuroscience stuff?
I think it's probably been too long. I think that getting a job would be pretty difficult. But who knows? I mean, who knows? I can't predict, but I think. I mean, if someone wanted to hire me, absolutely, but I don't know. I don't know what I would say at the interview at this point. Like, it's I wrote this paper.
I'll help get the word out for you. Hey, everybody, hire this guy to do some neuroscience stuff.
Todd Novak said that I was great on his podcast, so drop me a line.
You're in like Flynn, man.
If anyone's got some NSERC funding or whatever, just let me know. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah,
so, we've spent a bit of time talking about your count to 5, but that led to some other things that seem to dwarf the count to 5. The Zellersasm. And
actually,
purple.
Yeah. So the 856. I actually worked on this with someone named Nicholas Esterer, who is a genius, really. I don't know how else to say this. This guy is one of the smartest people I know, I would say. So, and like a extremely talented programmer. So he works as a professional programmer right now. And yeah, it was actually being developed at the same time that I did the Count to Five. Like we met at another contract job. I did have a short contract job where we were trying to this is an interesting one, synchronize like 50 mechanical metronomes with a motor on the stem to like adjust the tempos of them. So he had been hired by the same people who found me, and we wrote some software for these people. And I don't know, that's where I met him. And then he found out that I was working on some pedals, and he was very interested because he didn't really have much background in electronic hardware. So basically I developed the hardware and he wrote the software for that device. And then finally we finished it at some point, and it was actually started being worked on at roughly the same time as the Count to Five did, though. Like, even though it came out much later, it actually was because he had other things to do. Like, I think he was still doing his master's at the time, so he wasn't always active. But yeah, the projects actually basically started at the exact same time.
I think that something that could accompany this pedal, so right now, everybody, we're talking about the Zellerzazen on Montreal Assembly, and I think if you can prove usability, you should get an honorary degree as well, because this pedal can do quite a bit. It's almost daunting to look at, but also like, wow, I can't wait to get in and mess with all these knobs and everything. It's I'm going to read just really quickly what this says. You were able to encapsulate to a degree what this says. A looper which allows playback of many layered copies of a single recording. Each layer can have various unique manipulations of the original recording. Portions from the recorded loop can be played back in various rhythms and at different pitches. Once a series of transformations has been composed, this sequence of manipulations can be stored and can be applied to new loops and recordings. So this is just if you've got a few weeks and several bags of chips, you could really have some fun here.
Yeah. There's actually we should post it up soon. Somebody made a really nice some app on iOS. I think it's like a Touch OSC or something. They made like a new interface for it, so you can just communicate with it over MIDI.
Wow.
Which is maybe a little bit cleaner. So yeah, I got to remind to put that up. But yeah, we can't make them right now anyways because of chip shortage.
Can you? I'd be willing to bet that you're finding that a lot of other people who are making music beyond guitar players are using these pedals.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of electronic.
Oh yeah, all types of people. It's probably primarily guitar, but I think a lot of people who play guitar also have like synths and drums, probably.
Right.
Like I don't know.
So you also have the Perp LL.
Yeah, Purple.
Tell me about that.
So this is just I don't know, a modernized version kind of the Schumann PLL, which was really really sought after, I guess. So this is kind of my interpretation of it, but
it's a fuzzed out harmonizer, drone synth, and more is what it says.
Yeah. So it's the PLL just tries to. It's like a monophonic pitch shifter, but I don't know. It tries to track your note, and then part of its charm is, I guess, when it can't, and so you have some parameters that control like how tight it's trying to track your note. And then the one we made has like you can arpeggiate the added notes, and it's got like a mixer. I think you can have 2 extra notes. So you've got like your root note and then a higher note and a lower note, and you can mix those together and EQ them. And it has a lot of knobs, but this pedal actually, like, I think it's the only pedal we have where like you can only do what the knobs show basically. So if you understand what each knob does, it never really changes. So it's actually, even though it looks
like
crazy,
that you said if you understand what the
well, no, I mean, like, we made a manual and stuff, and I think people, I guess it's like 13 knobs or something.
There's a lot. There's a lot on here.
6 switches, but yeah, it's more like what you see is what you get. So like if you turn it on later and put everything back to the same setting, it should sound the same as what it did before. It's not as dependent on like what's in the looping memory or anything like that.
Right. So, you've got some other things, but let's get off of like just walking through your entire product line.
Sure. Yeah.
So, what is intriguing you right now, as somebody who has created a pretty seminal pedal in the Count to 5? I mean, that's in the books, and what? And you've branched out and you've done the purple and the Zazerzeller thing, and where is your head now as far as what's your next move? What is intriguing you to build?
Mostly I guess it's been about, I would say at least 18 months that like our supply chain has been basically completely screwed.
Yeah.
So and it doesn't. My research seems to indicate it's not going to get better. So, I've actually been kind of just going down the rabbit hole of like finding, microcontroller manufacturers in China that I guess probably previously just sold mostly domestically because it's like they're not competitive with, I don't know, Western chip manufacturers. I'm not sure, or they just don't try. But these people are more than willing to sell to you. You just have to kind of reach out to them. And I've gone through like 2 major rounds, I guess, like 2 kind of dives, and they've both had very kind of wild results. Like at first I was just really happy to find anything because it was like, oh my God, you have something? Like, I'll just buy it right now. Yeah. And then, that was a thing for a minute. But then eventually it was like, oh, what's this stuff? And then you're like, is this real? Like, I don't know. And like, there's been some pretty interesting stuff, and it seems like we found suppliers for some stuff. So I'm waiting for some samples even right now from a few companies of stuff. And mostly I'm just excited that like, it seems like if you think of something, you'll be able to find the parts to implement it. Whereas I spent almost like 2 years in the reality that like, I don't even know, like we can't even keep making the stuff we already designed. And so like your day is like, I don't know, spending a lot of time just figuring out how to make stuff you already figured out how to make, which like is fine. And like, if that's your job, that's fine. But like, it's really not inspiring at all. It's kind of tedious and boring.
Yeah.
So, there's nothing like super specific, I guess. It's more just like, oh, you can like start thinking about what you could make now. Cause like in 2020, I was working on some prototypes and, we had to stop making those cause whatever chipsets we were looking at are like at the moment, like, I don't know, 60 to 80 week lead times, which like, I don't know. That's not
80 weeks. That's not even.
more than a year. Like most things are more than a year now. So which is like, if you like, I guess if we were rolling, and we had a huge stock of stuff, and you just say, oh, I guess we'll just put this out next year. But it's like, not so much. But also we're hopefully about to move to a much bigger space also, and a lot of this was just brought on by like some of the processes we outsourced. People just became like not to be rude, but a lot of our suppliers just became completely incompetent, and like kind of just compounded the frustration of like not only not being able to get parts, but like when you do have stuff, like people can't handle it properly. And without going into too many details, like a lot of like we can do a lot of the stuff. It's just that there's these companies that claim they can also do it, and they have all the stuff to do it. So why wouldn't you get them to do it? And it's like, well, this is why. Actually, we found out why. So yeah, we're moving to a bigger place, and yeah, kind of just continue. Like recently, we put out some more just like, I don't know, distortions and stuff, and they were kind of just like process experiments almost. Like, can you pump this stuff out like with these parts, or like what's going on? So we're also playing with this idea of just I guess like upping the amount of stuff we make. So like offering also maybe some lower, like, I don't want to say they're cheap, because I mean, you can go on Amazon and buy a pedal for $50, but you know, 100. We were selling these for like $100 or so.
Is this
so
the Too Positive?
Yeah, that's Too Positive. And then we made another one recently called Uppers, which is just like kind of an octave fuzz. Yeah, and yeah, they had an okay response. So I think probably we'll do a few more things in that vein also, and just try to get back to work. Basically, I don't know how else to say it. It's been a pretty tedious.
I can imagine
2.5 years, and like.
So when you were talking earlier about doing that course where, or the workshop where you're essentially building digital versions of essentially, thank you, Tony. What you're building in your pedals, is that something you believe you're going to be pursuing? Maybe even due to supply chain?
I don't think so. I really enjoy building hardware. I mean, maybe we could augment it with some plugins, but maybe it would be cool if you released a pedal. I think someone did this recently. Wampler, maybe. Someone just released a delay, and they also released a plugin of the same delay that I think you get for free if you actually buy the pedal. And that's pretty cool. To me, that's actually really cool. So, maybe something like that. I don't think, though, that will be like trying to compete in like the plugins market. I've looked at what's available. It's pretty nice stuff. So I'm not trying to like say I couldn't do it. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, all right. I don't know if we have time for that today, but like.
Well, it would be interesting to see what would happen in the market if you released a digital version of the Count to Five. You know, because is so well known, and you know, that'd be really, really curious to see like where that would land. Who might be interested in picking that up?
Yeah, maybe something. Yeah, or maybe like end of life planning. Like once you stop making them, you just give it out for free or something, right? Like you're just like, here, you can always get the sound, you know, from this website or whatever. Yeah. I don't know. So something more like that. I think that might be an interesting. Yeah. That's a great.
Sell the rights to Line 6 or something.
Oh, I would love for Line 6. I'd love to even just have a meeting with Line 6, just even to give it to them. Yeah.
All right.
Call me.
They're listening right now, so
if you're out there,
yeah. They'll make it happen. Mm-hmm. They'll take your call, man. I'm sure. of it.
I'm certain. Yeah.
Well, cool, man. It's been really fun hearing about like all of the stuff that goes into, you know, the brain that made up you know, some of these pretty fantastic pedals. And if you have the opportunity to get one, I highly recommend you do before they, you know, who knows what the supply chain's going to do.
Yeah.
Do you have Count to Fives left?
Yeah. Count to Five we have now, and I think we'll be good for a while on that. And the other ones, Purple, we're going to have back in a minute. And the 856, a lot of people ask about this. And yeah, we found some parts that are like candidates, I would say, for redesigning it. So I actually met with Nicholas last week, not specifically for this, but he's around. So hopefully, I don't know, hopefully within a month or two, we're at least back on some sort of plan to get it back. But it's not going to be super soon, but hopefully by the end of 2022, we at least have some
cool
promising news on that one, I would say. Yeah.
So we've been talking quite a bit about like all the pedals and the amazing things that they can do, but what I think we failed to do is just ask you a simple question: what's your go-to guitar, man? Oh,
I have like an Overseas Parker. I don't know. They're like the PDF series or something. I don't know which one it is. PDF 60 or 70. It's just like a black Parker. It doesn't even look exactly like the USA Parkers, but this is definitely my go-to. I think it's I don't know. It's so light, and the neck is really amazing. And I used to I played Jacksons forever. Like I love Jackson guitars. They're like these nice shredder guitars, and the Parker actually is better. Like you're like, oh no, it's like what I liked in Jacksons, but like even more extreme. Like the neck is flatter, it's thinner. The guitar weighs like, I don't know, like 3.5 pounds or something stupid. Like it's really amazing. So yeah, I just got this and put DiMarzio X2N in the bridge and plug it into your metal zone, and that's it, man. It doesn't really get any better than that. You
might be able to skip the metal zone with that pickup.
That's my favorite pickup, man. I played EMGs for a long time when I was younger, but I read about probably on TGP or something. I saw someone mention this DiMarzio X2N, and then of course I looked on eBay and found out you could get it in neon green, and I was like, oh my god, this is the one for me, right? So I bought it. It doesn't need a battery, so I didn't even listen to it. I just bought it, and then
he is Wayne Static.
It's so much better than the EMGs. The clean sound is actually nice. I don't know, EMGs, they sound like plastic when it's not distorted. But when the X2N, it's oh, it actually sounds not bad clean. And then you're like, well, who cares about clean anyways? And then, that's it, man. You just roll with that.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, even my Jackson has X2N. I got 2 guitars with X2N, and it's yeah, that's it, man.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Scott Monk of Montreal Assembly, for sharing all that awesomeness. We are going to check in with our good buddy, Jared, who's back from a long layoff, and not a layoff, but he was just out. He was busy.
We laid him off.
He was busy. Yeah,
we just laid him off.
Moving.
We rehired him.
60 yards.
Yeah. So anyhow, let's find out what he's got going on.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the host of the segment that you've missed so greatly in this version, with me, Jared Brandon, singing you this song. Would you rather? This week's Would You Rather is very interesting, especially because I'm going to read it. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a second.
This awesome Would You Rather is from Russ Stanziale. I think that's how you pronounce it. Russ Stanziale. Thanks for sending this in, man.
So you're walking down the street when you're handed a burner phone by a guy on a stupid scooter. The phone is ringing and you answer. It's a husky but slightly high-pitched voice on the other line that says,
"It's Geddy Lee."
"This is not Jared." You're invited to be a guest on the Guitar Knobs podcast. You struggle with the pre-show angst of preparing for the show's 2 most popular segments. Would you rather and 4 on the floor and would you rather. The show hosts hear about your rising stress levels, and they come up with a plan to help. They offer you a choice. Would you rather choose a 5th pedal, a 5 in the floor versus 4 on the floor, so that you have a little breathing room, including your favorite pedals? What parent of 5+ children, after all, could choose their favorite 4? Or add a qualifying asterisk to whatever your would you rather answer is. You won't be tied down by the segment's boxy inflexibility. You can qualify your answer with whatever single sentence exception you want to add to your answer. Choose carefully. Your blood pressure depends on it. This is not Jared.
Right. Okay. So what that ultimately translates to is, would you rather have a 5th pedal or and the ability to have an asterisk on your answer for your 4 on the floor? All
By
right.
4 on the floor, you mean?
I mean, you're would you rather?
Would you rather?
Yeah.
And so there's like actually 2 would you rathers. Like
well,
this is the
would
this
you
is
rather
you
do this or
rather.
that? Yes.
But you get to have an extra, right?
Yes.
But
Okay.
there is another would you rather question. That's
I'm
what
sure
you're
we
getting
may
at.
have guests that can't comprehend this whole idea.
It's
On,
possible.
You might even have hosts that
I was going to say, based on the look on Tony's face right now, I think he might have trouble comprehending.
I think I'm fine with those 4. I don't think.
Okay, so you're gonna take the asterisk on the question.
Yeah, I'm not even sure I'll need it, but yeah, I'll take it. Sure.
Okay.
All right.
I like
all right.
this guy, man.
All right. Tony, how about yourself?
Could I have one less pedal?
One less.
Would you get like 2 asterisks? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 asterisks or one less pedal. Gosh, I don't know how to answer this question.
With one of those 2 things.
Okay, I'll take the asterisk for 1,000.
Okay, perfect. See, with that asterisk, well, see, I'm going to manipulate this answer. Go ahead, John.
Well, I might be thinking what you're thinking. I'm going to take the asterisk, and that asterisk is I can choose as many options as I want. I'm going to take both, so I'll have 5 pedals.
The genie
and
trick.
the
go.
asterisk.
Ooh.
Now we're doing it.
Now it makes sense.
Yep. Let's see, Jared.
It's like the game genie for the guitar knobs.
Exactly.
I'm going to go ahead and do the would you rather thing since that's my segment anyway. And funny enough, I'm looking at my pedal board right now. I only have 4 pedals.
Quit
Which
it.
is
But
hilarious.
yeah.
But they're all the size of Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Well, they're all they're good ones too.
They're big
but
ones.
yeah.
Okay.
I like my 4 pedals, so I'm going to take the asterisk.
I'm gonna manipulate this as well. Go for the asterisk. Add a 5th pedal and an asterisk.
Asterisk.
As well. An asterisk.
Asterisk.
An asterisk.
Thank you.
Asterisk.
Thank you, Tony.
Asterisk. Solder.
Risk. Say it. Risk.
Risk. Risk and reward.
Aster. Risk.
Fifth.
Asterix.
Aster.
Uh,
Risk.
Hold your tongue and say apple.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for doing this with us.
Good to be back.
Yes, good to be back, Jared. Thank you for that. Now, we need to thank a few people, and then
No.
we're going to let our friend Scott go.
No, we're not thanking anyone tonight. I changed my mind. No, Todd, I'm just yanking your chain.
Do it!
Because at this point of the show, there's a very special group of people that we love to thank. These are our executive producers. Yes. Now, you might be wondering what an executive producer is.
Tony, what's an executive producer?
Well, it's a person that makes the show possible. Now, you might be asking yourself, how can I become an executive producer?
How do you become an executive producer?
You missed your cue, John. Go over to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs. Check out a couple of different options in which you can participate, become a sponsor, a patron of this very podcast.
Good stuff.
And each level comes with a great bevy of thank you gifts. But in addition to the thank you gifts, there's one thing more.
Jared. You get to have your name read on the thing.
Your name read on the thing.
That's right.
So let's give a shout out and a special thanks to each of these executive producers. Moon Guitars, Vader Pedals, Drew Lopez, John Halverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Mikey D, Richard Kendall, Mark Garton, Matt Hart, James White, Justin Jones, Anthony Jamalaro, Bill Gola Guitars, John Esterly from Rare Buzz Effects, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Lawrence Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Doug Chris, Darren Gregory, John Anglin, Tom Brazen, Rusty Sneeden, Ralph Gottschalk from Wonderful Audio Technology. What? David Poe, Don Kloss, Gregory Randall, Brett Hogarth, Eric Hemmer, and Stuart George.
Right on. Thank you so much.
Todd, do I have to warn you every time?
Yes, I have a short-term memory.
It's part of the shtick. It really is.
It really is. Because there's an additional group of executive producers that we thank.
Uh-huh.
These are our grand poobahs. They're the creme de la creme. They live on the upper penthouse suite in the wonderful Guitar Knobs building right here in downtown Columbus, Ohio.
Yes.
You may not have seen it,
It has
but
an
it's
infinity pool.
there. Yes, it does.
Yes.
It has two infinity
in the
pools.
elevator.
So special thanks to these grand poobahs. Tommy Manasco, Ricardo Iguareda, David Kaminga, Brandon Wound Pickups.
That's right.
Hex Matos, Michio Murakishi, Bob Crouch, Jack Cadian, Sam Jett, Tyler Rhines, LSJ Music Company, John Williams, James Pennington, Adam Johnson, Steve Keys, Cody Foster, Science of Sound, Brian Robinson, Jonathan Jerusik from 12th Hour Devices. I wonder what that means. Corey Nigro, Michael Van Zant, Tim Nowak, Jonathan Daly, Martin Cliff, Sean S. And Eddie Serratos. Thank you.
Indeed. Scott, where can people find your wares on the internet?
At mtl.asm.com.
All right. Hey, everybody, make sure that that you go get one of these here Montreal Assembly pedals while they last, and get one from Scott. Okay, see if you can not do a used one. If that's all you can get, we'll get. Some's better than none. But support him. Buy directly from him if you can. Okay, John, where can people find you?
You can find me at www.rarebuzzer.com. That's Rare Buzz with an ER at the end. Rare Buzzer, everywhere social media is sold. Second run of the Fuzz Bombs coming very, very soon. In fact, I've already started releasing a few of them out into the world, and Count Our Luck V2s also out in the world. Check them out.
Awesome. Jared?
You can find me on Instagram at jared.allen.brandon.
All right.
And that's it.
Yes. You can send me an email, todd@theguitarknobs.com, or DM me on Instagram @guitarknobs. We would love to hear what's going on with you.
Always do.
Yes, and send us your Would You Rathers. Do that stuff. All right. Thank you so much to Scott Monk from Montreal Assembly for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thank you very much, man. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. All right, everybody, have a fantastic Guitar Weekend. Subscribe!
Yeah.
How did you not hear that? Where were you on that?
Hello.
This is going to be a great night.
Oh, I hope so.
Or else.
I'm trying to.
No, I mean, there's.
I don't hear anything.
Jared,
Yeah.
what'd you have for breakfast?
An energy bar?
Are you guessing? It's not a game show.
I had an energy bar. What the f*** do you want from me?
Whoa!
I want to hear what you really
It's
had.
a little late in the day for F-bombs about breakfast, sir.
No, it's not.
I know him, and he does.
I know him, and he does.
I know, but you didn't say it.
Well, I was looking at the knob.
But that's the whole point for the song.
It's a cool place.
And the wine was delicious. What is your technical title over Gibson?
Product manager and development of pickups. So I make new pickups for Gibson and manage what we have now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And chief of security.
Yeah.
No, that's Tommy.
He just stands in the doorway. Nobody gets in, nobody gets out. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Don't even need rubber bullets. All right. It sounds kind of like you're calling from an airplane bathroom. All right. I have a Would You Rather I'm going to send you.
Would you rather?
So I've got the body.
His wife just yelled at him.
What?
Oh, what now?
I've got the body.
You've got the body.
Nothing.
And I'll
It's
just
all
bring you the
fun.
body. It's pretty straight ahead what it is.
How's that now?
Why?
I think it's better.
I'm going to reboot my computer. I can't hear anything. Okay, bye.
Oh, crap. We got Scott waiting. I got to call Scott right now. Scott!
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.